All right, guys, we are on the review for the multiple choice part of the final packet. And we left off yesterday with the identities. The quiz is not, the final doesn't really have them like this. It has prove, I'm sorry, it doesn't have prove, it has matching. So it says simplify and then pick from these choices over here, which one you got it down to. So I'm just going to go through a couple of these real quick. Cosecant is 1 over sine. Some of you got that wrong on the post test. Please use the reference sheet if you're not sure. Tangent is sine over cosine. So then these would divide out and you would have 1 over cosine, which is what this asked for. But if that wasn't a choice, what would the choice be that could match up to? What is 1 over cosine? Okay. So on the list of choices, it would probably be this. 60 is a little more painful. Does anybody know 1 minus cotangent squared? Anybody have a reference sheet out? I think it's cosecant squared, but is it positive or negative? This is just cosecant squared? Do you have it? It can't be cosecant squared, is it? What does it say on the reference sheet? Okay. So let's see what we can do with this. There's not one this hard on the test. If we took this and we subtracted the 1 over to the other side, it would say cotangent squared of x equals cosecant squared of x minus 1. Then if we put that in up there, it would say 1 minus, in place of this, if we wrote cosecant squared of x minus 1. Yep, and distributed the negative, then we now have 2 minus cosecant squared of x. This is not going anywhere fast, is it? Yep, I think we should skip this one. I can look at it and fix it in the slides, but I don't think there's anything like that on the, it's mostly just simplifying, like this one. Secant would be 1 over cosine. This would be times sine. So you'd end up with a negative and a sine over cosine, which would be a negative tangent. Everybody okay with ones like that? Cotangent squared would be cosecant squared minus 1. Secant squared, Mackenzie, can you read me what secant squared is? So if we replaced those, then the ones would cancel each other out and we'd end up with just what they wanted here. Okay. Yep, so the only one that's really hard and tricky apparently is this one, unless there's something I'm missing. Probably just need to change it all to sines and cosines, but it's going to be a mess, so I'm moving on. Okay. There is one of these and it is multiple choice. What can you tell me about cosecant? What would you graph first? Sine. So if you had 1/2 sine 2 theta, you would have a sine graph that had a very small amplitude and finished where? Would only go up to 1/2 and -1/2. But what does this 2 do? Okay, so 2 pi divided by 2 makes it finish at pi, and this would be pi over 2. And then because it's cosecant, we have to flip all these little guys over. So we're looking for one that's very close to the x-axis. The amplitude is only 1/2. And by pi, finishes 2 loops, an up and a down. I'm going with D, yes? If we were looking at 64, you would graph 2 cosine 1/2 theta. So the amplitude would be 2. The cosine looks like this. So this would be 2 and -2. And the cosine finishes a period normally by 2 pi. But if we had 2 pi divided by 1/2, we'd get 4 pi. So this is 4 pi. And these are all going to switch over. So it should look like this would be 2 pi. Is it this A right here? Doesn't that match what I just drew? So are we good on those? I would cross off 66. There's not a tangent one on there, so I don't want you to worry about that one. You could definitely practice 65. Anybody pick which one's 65 right now? It's cosecant, so it's not A or C, right? The amplitude is supposed to be 3, so I'm thinking it's D, yeah. All right, there is a question like this. It says, given 2 terms in a geometric sequence, find the common ratio and the term named in the problem and the explicit formula. Okay, I don't think you have to find all those things on the final, but you have to find one of them. If we start with 67, they give us the first term and the 6th term. The important thing here is that it says it's geometric, so you're multiplying by r. How many times would you multiply to get from the first term to the 6th term? Five times, because to get to the 6th term, you'd have a sub n equals a sub 1 times r to the n minus 1. So if you're talking about the 6th term, you'd say it's the first term times r 6 minus 1, or 5 times. So 4, the first term, times r 5 times is giving you 4096. Somebody divide that by 4 for me. And we get -1024. Did I do that right? And then we need the 5th root of that. I'm guessing -4, but I'm probably wrong. So you can do an odd power. Is it -4? So -1024 to the 1/5 is r, which is -4. All right, so the explicit form would say the first term is 4 and you're multiplying by -4. Hang on, I gotta move that. Or not. The explicit would say a sub n equals 4 times -4 to the n minus 1. Then what did they ask for? we found the common ratio already. It was -4. We need to find the 9th term, it says. So a sub 9 would be 4 times -4 to the 8th, because it's 9 minus 1. So it should be positive. Is it 4096? No. 1024? No, it's a bigger number than that. Don't listen to me on this video. Somebody tell me what you get. 262, 144. Anybody? 26. Okay. Did Amy do one more? This other one? This one gives you terms 5 and 6. So how could you find R real fast? The 5th term and the 6th term. Yeah, it says it's geometric. So if you just take the 6th term divided by the 5th term, you'll get R. And I'm thinking R is 3. So we could go backwards to find the first term, because we're supposed to write the sequence, the explicit formula. So we could just keep dividing by 3. This would be -108. Divided by 3 is -36, -12, and -4. Does that work? Somebody check my math. So I got a sub 1 is -4. Yes, no, maybe. So a sub n would be what? How'd you write the explicit formula, guys? First term times r to the n minus 1. And then it asks for the 12th term. So you're going to put a 12 in here. You're going to type -4 times 3 to the 11th. And it's a lovely -708,588. Someone else get that? All right. There is a question like this, and it gives you the formula right next to the problem. The formula would say y of t and x of t. Y of t equals t v sub 0 sine theta. And this one is t v sub 0 cosine of theta minus 16t squared plus h sub 0. Okay, that's right next to the problem. I didn't put it on the reference sheet because I just put it in the problem. Okay, so what would this look like for number 1, part 1 here? How would the equations that we're going to type in look? Mode, first of all. Degrees and parametric, right? So we can use the t. And then in, does it say y first or x first? Do I have those totally backwards? I do. Pooh. I'm pretty sure it gives you x of t first, and that's the one that should have cosine. And then it gives you y of t, and that's the one that should have sine. It's right on the quiz, I promise. Okay, so x of t, we're going to put in t. What's v sub 0, guys? 111. And the angle is 45, so we're going to have cosine of 45 degrees. And then y of t, we will have t times 111 times the sine of 45. And then minus 16t squared plus 44. This will be v sub 0. Okay. Are y'all just going to get this one wrong? Because this might be the one that's worth 2 points. Honestly, can't remember. Mode, degrees, parametrics, y equals. It is x first and then y. I don't know why I got so crazy there. T, 111 cosine, what was the angle, guys? 45, right? And then T, 111, and this is where everybody was putting cosine again, or a couple people did on the quiz, typed it wrong. Minus 16t squared plus, what was the initial height, guys? 44. Okay, window. It's probably going to land within 5 seconds, and if it's not, we'll know about it later. Make sure your t-step is 0.1, but we need to know how far away it's going and how high. 111 seems pretty fast, so maybe I should make this 200. Probably not even enough, I don't know. And I'll try just 0 to 200 for both. Okay, so the height is good. What do I need to add more of? Okay, so maybe 500. Oh, now what do I need to add more of? Yes, I don't have enough time because it didn't hit the ground yet. There we go. So this is the picture I'm getting, and this is the window I used. All right, determine how long it was in the air. So if I go back to the graph and I trace, I want the y to get close to 0. Oh, 1 is pretty darn close to 0, so about 5.4 seconds. How far did it travel? How far traveled in the air? Well, that's a weird question. I'm going to go with how far away did it land? How's that? It landed 420, almost 424 feet. And sketch we did. Questions? Do we need to do the other one? This one's probably going to have a much smaller window because it's only started out at 17. It's kicked from the ground. Didn't you do that one or no? Yes? Okay, what would the equations be? X of t would be t. Okay, and then y of t would be? And there's no initial height, it's from the ground, yeah. So, was it 60, the angle? I'm pretty sure I'm going to need a much smaller window. Oh, apparently this was Pee Wee soccer because it didn't go very far or very high. All right, that window's even still too big, but that's okay. So my window was there. My graph. Whoa, what did I do? Here. So really too big, but I don't care. How long was it in the air and how far did it travel? If I trace it, about 0.9 and 7.7. This is totally wrong. Okay, we're just going to pretend this was feet. Because if it's minutes, it's not 16. Or I mean, if it's meters, it's not 16. But it's feet on the quiz, so in the final, so I'm not going to worry about it. Yeah, we're off to a great start today. All right. Bag contains 4 red, 7 blue. You randomly pick a marble and then pick a second marble without returning. Okay, pretend I can talk. What's the probability both are red? So when you start out, there are 4 red out of how many total? 11? Okay, but when you go back to pick the second time, there's now what? But there's only 3 red out of 10 total. And you multiply, okay? So you get 12 over 110, which would reduce to 6 over 55. Is that right? Anybody checking me? Okay, number 72. Cooler contains 13. 5 are lime, 3 are orange, 5 are fruit punch. You're going to pick a bottle, return it, mix them up, select another. First time you get a lime, the second time you get a fruit punch. Okay, so how many are there altogether? 13, right? The first time you want lime, so there was 5, lemon lime. But then it says you return the bottle to the cooler, so there's still 13. What's the chance that on the second time you get a fruit punch? Well, there's also 5 fruit punch, right? So 25 out of 169. Questions? Didn't go down because it said you put it back. All right, a jar contains 8 balls, numbered 1 to 8. You randomly pick a ball. What is the chance it's numbered 1 or 4? So how many winners out of a total of, so 1/4? Box of chocolates has 6 milk chocolates and 6 dark, 3. Oh my goodness, this is too much information for me. Okay, so we have milk chocolate and dark chocolate. 3 of the milk and 5 of the dark have peanuts. So peanuts and no peanuts. Okay, what's with the milk? 3 have peanuts, and there were 6 total, right? Dark chocolate, there's 6 total, and 5 of them have peanuts, and 1 doesn't. Did I get it right? Okay, what is the probability that you pick? Okay, you're only going to pick once. It is a milk chocolate or has no peanuts inside. So which ones are winners? No peanuts would be these, but I also win if it's just a milk chocolate with peanuts. So there are 7 winners out of 12 chocolates, right? The other way you can do that problem is find the probability that you get a milk chocolate, which was 6 out of 12, and the probability that it had no peanuts, which was 4 out of the 12, and then you would subtract the overlap, which was milk chocolate with no peanuts, so you would subtract the 3, you'd get this. All right, that was a fun question. I put these on just because they're not necessarily multiple choice on the test, but how do you find the magnitude of this? And if you're really smart, you just leave off the negative, right? Square root of 12 squared plus 17 squared is about 20.8. Or the square root of, did anybody do it exact? I don't know which way it is on the quiz because if it's multiple choice, it might be exact. 433. Okay, find the exact components for a vector of 50 miles an hour at an angle of 120. Well, it's 50 cosine of 120 and 50 sine of 120. How are you going to get them exact, though? Yeah, you're going to go to your unit circle, which I did not draw very well. This would be 120, and it would be negative 1/2 and positive square root of 3 over 2. So you would have 50 times negative 1/2 and 50 times square root of 3 over 2. Anybody tell me what that's going to look like? What's 50 times negative 1/2? And 50 times square root of 3 divided by 2? Okay. Could you do that on your calculator? What mode would your calculator need to be in? Nope. This was degrees. You would type these in and get a decimal, and then you'd have to type all the choices in to see which one was equivalent, right? All right. Expected value. This went so well on the test that it's on the quiz that it's now on the final. Does anybody remember how this goes? The definition is the probability times the amount you'd win plus the probability, and that's net gain, times net gain. Again, if you win again, there's another prize. And eventually you do the probability of net loss. Okay, at a raffle, 500 tickets are sold, so every probability stays out of 500. There are 3 prizes, so 1 out of 500, 1 out of 500, 1 out of 500, and what's the chance that you lose? 497 out of 500, because there's 3 prizes. Okay? Well, if everybody had to buy a ticket, so the losers would each lose $15, but the winners don't win 5,000, 2,500, or 1,000 because they had to buy a ticket. So what is their net profit? Okay, typing very carefully. I'm going to type 4985 divided by 500 plus 2485 divided by 500 plus 985 divided by 500 minus 15 times 497 divided by 500. I got 2. Anybody else get 2? So according to this, you're going to have a profit of $2 for every ticket you buy on average. If we wanted to figure that out, we could say I bought 500 tickets at $15 each. Okay, so that's negative. And then I won, let's see, if we added all these up, what would you have? $8,500. Okay, so negative 500 times 15 plus 8,500 is $1,000. Why is the answer not $1,000? Average expected means out of the total tickets. So if you say, this is what I spent, I bought all the tickets, I made $1,000, but it was per ticket, so that's why it came out positive 2. Let me do the other one. Yes or no? All right, life expectancy. You will have an empirical rule on your reference sheet that will show this is 34 on each side, this is 13.5 on each side, and this is 2.5 on each side. Does anybody have one? We'll see if we need it. Okay. The life expectancy in hours of a battery is normally distributed with a mean of 500 hours. So for this question, you have 500 and a standard deviation of 20. So we have 520 here. The next one would be 540. Find the probability that it lasts for more than 540 hours. Okay, you will not get this right if you just put whatever's on your little chart up here. Everybody remember how this goes? There's 100% minus what's this on down. From the mean on down would be 50%, yes. And then this first above the mean is 34, so we're going to take off 34. And then in here is another 13.5. I think it's 13.5. Does that sound right to someone? So if we subtract that, someone get an answer? Oh, I know what I did. Is it 2.5? Or 0.25, 0.025 if you did as a decimal. On the little chart, it says that this above here or down here is 2.35, but that's because there's a little bit more out here that isn't listed, so that's why it gets up to 2.5. All right, let's try this one since we're all confused. What's the mean? And then it would look like this. What is the probability that a teacher's under 35? So what parts did we not use? This whole top half is what percent? 50, and this was 34. So all of this down here should be which is 16. You need more of those? I can make some up. I can find the actual chart if you need me to, but it's on the reference sheet. All right. The game A says you win if you get a black, and it's this chart. So what's the probability of winning game A? 3 out of 8, or can someone change that to a decimal? I think it's 375. Okay, this is game B. This is the game board. What's the chance you win if you get a black? You land on black, which is 0.556, I believe. Someone typing. Okay. Game C, all you know is the probability of losing is 0.66 or 66%. So winning would be 34% or 0.34. So which game has the best chance of winning? Can you handle that question? Pretty easy one. All right, what else do you want to see one of? Anybody? Anything? Okay, well, that's not the binomial distribution, normal distribution. Here we go. So this is what your chart looks like, except it doesn't have this little 0.15 out here on the end, okay? So that's why you should subtract from 100 so that you don't miss that tiny little 0.15. But it's on your chart like this. Any questions? You may do anything more?